The tax rebate, that, Senator Thune, is what socialism for the rich. In fact, this particular company is owned by the richest guy in the world. You gave him a $129 million rebate. But it's not just Amazon. Delta Airlines also paid nothing in federal taxes in 2018, and yet they received a $187 million rebate from that particular bill. Chevron, helping to destroy our planet with their carbon emissions.
So folks, there is a new push for recurring stimulus checks. However, some lawmakers want the new payments to go to a smaller group of Americans. Throughout the crisis, Americans who work in certain essential industries have garnered praise as heroes for doing the jobs that allow most of us to continue living the life that we want to live. And to this point, that's more or less where the recognition has stopped. Those food workers, for example, have had to keep punching a clock throughout the health crisis, unable to enjoy the convenience of a work-from-home scenario. Soon, however, their work may be rewarded with something previously thought to be elusive for most of us, and that's a fourth stimulus payment. Tens of millions of third stimulus checks went out earlier this year, following the passage of the $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. Now, there is a possibility that a fourth stimulus check could be approved. The IRS normally operates as basically a powerful collection agency. Even so, it was the originator of the three previous crisis-era stimulus checks, as well as the distributor of the child tax credit payments. So, the U.S. Agriculture Secretary announced a crisis relief payment a few days ago. It's part of a larger $700 million effort to help farm and food workers. Accordingly, a one-time $600 payment is going to farm workers in the U.S. meatpacking workforce. A portion of the $700 million, totaling up to $20 million, will also go toward helping grocery store workers. Unlike the previous stimulus checks, these new payments won't come from the IRS. Rather, they will come from state agencies, nonprofits, and tribal governments. The agency will parcel out funds to those groups to distribute, and according to the Secretary himself, his agency will prioritize funders that have a track record of responsiveness. It's not clear as of yet how large of a check that the grocery workers would get. Other stimulus payments beyond those new ones are already coming right now. There will be 3 more child tax credit payments, which give eligible parents a few hundred extra dollars each month. The next of those payments are coming on November 15th and December 15th. At this point, the checks are set to expire, and the IRS also announced that most families will see their 4th advanced child tax credit payment in their bank account today. The October payments will reach approximately 36 million taxpayers, for a total of $15 billion. If you're getting payments by check, the check should arrive by the end of the month. Getting these payments authorized by the American Rescue Plan in March into the hands of families with children under 18 is a big undertaking, and it's not all smooth sailing. For most taxpayers who have filed a 2019 or 2020 tax return, the monthly payments will start in July and run through December automatic, but the payment amounts can change depending on recently processed tax returns. The final true-up will take place when you file your 2021 tax return next year. In the latest statement, the IRS says it has been corrected, and nearly 1 million taxpayers didn't get their payment for September on schedule. There are folks who recently updated the bank account or address with information on file with the IRS. On the flip side, for families who didn't get earlier payments they were due, but are getting first payments this month, they will get the total advance payment for the year spread over 3 months instead of 6, making each payment larger. Folks, what do you think about Joe Manchin, President Biden, and Nancy Pelosi? Are they doing all that it takes to send out the 4th stimulus check? Tell me in the comments below.
The then Chief Justice, just retired Chief Justice, of course, said, "Joe, obviously you didn't do very well in law school." I looked at him. He said, "It says you have to be 30 years old to be sworn in, not to be elected. You can be, and you'll turn 30 by the time it's time to be sworn in." And anyway, that was my exposure, no pun intended. And so I go to the event, and I'm riding home with this guy, Bob Cunningham, who was a really bright guy. And I said, "Bob, I don't know what in God's name am I going to do? This is crazy." And so I'm thinking, who am I going to talk to? True story. And the next morning I get up and I called my professor at the University of Delaware, a guy named Dr. Ingersoll. And I said, "Doctor, can I come down and see you?" And he said, "Of course." I went down and sat with him for half an hour. I told him what was happening. He just looked at me. He said, "Joe, remember what Plato said." I'm thinking, what the hell did Plato say? But he said, to paraphrase Plato, he said, the penalty good people pay for not being involved in politics is being governed by people worse than themselves. And he looked at me and said, Joe, you should run. I said, but I feel strongly about all these issues, but I got involved in the civil rights movement and the war. But he said, Joe, you should do it. He had enough confidence in me that he gave me confidence in myself. With a kid with no money, coming from a middle-class family, who grew up in grade school stuttering, literally. For me, I'm confident I would have never done it were not for Dr. Ingersoll. I'm sure there are people of each of you can look back at, and they changed your life. But most of all, what you do is you give us confidence. You instill confidence. Just like when I was a kid, when I used to stutter badly, the nuns would sit me down and say, Joey, you can do this, and practice with me. They gave me confidence.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I really am so excited to be here to say that because of the great work of our distinguished chair of the Appropriations Committee and her cardinals, that's what they're called, cardinals, when you're chair of the Subcommittee of Appropriation, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro. Thank you, Congressman DeLauro. Whip go. Mr. Whip, thank you for honoring us with your presence. Mr. Clyburn and I and Mr. Hoyer are all appropriators. So this is where we feel at home. It's our culture. It's where we work almost always in a bipartisan way for the good of the American people. We did get some bipartisanship today, certainly in the Senate, some here. So thank you, Congresswoman DeLauro, Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, Congressman Sanford Bishop, Congressman Lucille Ward-Allard, Congresswoman Barbara I should be saying, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair Barbara Lee, Brenda Lawrence, thank you for bringing us. Madam Chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Again, Mr. Clyburn, we feel very comfortable in this meeting, but thank you, Rosa DeLauro. It was a masterful feat. And as I said on the floor, this is about honoring our preamble to the Constitution. It talks about establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, providing for the common defense, the general welfare, and the blessings of liberty. And each of these subcommittees do just exactly that. And with this continuing resolution, we not only keep government open, keep checks flowing to our veterans and Social Security recipients and the rest, but it's about, again, whether it's